This is Nightline, and I'm Raymond. News making the headlines. No plans to allow EPF withdrawals for flood victims, says Prime Minister. And King urges public to be prepared for possibility of second wave of floods. Good morning. Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah has urged the public to be prepared for the possibility of a second wave of floods. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong urged the precaution as he said it is imperative that the possibility of such an occurrence is not taken lightly.
Nasihat saya ialah kita ada dengar kata mungkin gelombang kedua akan datang. Kita berharap tidaklah, dan dalam pada itu kita harus bersiap sedialah, siap saga untuk menghadapi kalaupun ada gelombang kedua ini. Dan sama-samalah berdoa supaya cuaca yang baik akan kita perolehi dalam masa terdekat ini, insya-Allah.
The King also expressed hope that the people are ready and aware of the steps they need to take if and when floods do occur. Met by reporters during a visit to affected areas in Pekan Pahang on Sunday, Al-Sultan Abdullah also hoped that all victims affected by the disaster will continue to have patience during these testing times. He also paid a visit to the relief centres at Pulau Manis, Paloh Hinai and Lepa, where he distributed aid to flood victims. The government has no intention at the moment to allow those hit by floods to make Employees Provident Fund EPF withdrawals under the I-Chitra scheme. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said there was no need for EPF withdrawals as the government was offering various other forms of financial assistance to individuals and businesses to recover from the floods. Speaking to the media after attending clean-up efforts in Taman Sri Nanding and Kampung Dusun Tua in Hulu Langat, Selangor on Sunday, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said the government has been providing aid to those affected by the floods and COVID-19. He cited Tekun, which is offering an interest-free loan of 10,000 ringgit with a one-year moratorium on loan repayments for those who wish to start a new business, and Bank Simpanan Nasional (BSN), which is also offering interest-free loans of 10,000 ringgit to purchase essential items for the home with a 6-month loan moratorium.
Kerajaan sudah sediakan segala kemudahan tersebut. Ya. Sebenarnya saya tak nak panjang cerita pasal I-Chitra ni sebab saya tengok masih lagi ramai yang minta. Tapi kalau apa yang dah diberi itu, saya percaya kalau digunakan boleh membantu. Sebab tujuan kita wujudkan EPF adalah untuk simpanan hari tua selepas pencen.
With the loan moratorium set to end this month, just as the final disbursements of EPF withdrawals make their way into people's wallets, many have urged the government to allow further withdrawals from the retirement fund to help those reeling from the economic effects of COVID-19 and the floods. In another development, the government has agreed to set up a special task force for post-flood activities and in preparation for a possible second wave of floods. According to the Prime Minister, the task force, which would comprise the relevant agencies, including the Armed Forces, ATM, would hold its first meeting as early as Monday. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said among matters to be discussed and decided by the task force would be on coordination of the implementation of process involved in the cleaning of houses and buildings that were affected by the floods and on the mechanism to be used to ensure the Bantuan Wang Ehsan BWI could be channeled to the victims as quickly as possible.
Dan saya minta kalau besok terus panggil mesyuarat untuk kita segerakan. Ya, kita tak mahu tindakan kita yang terlalu banyak perkara yang perlu dipertimbangkan dalam satu masa akhirnya menyebabkan kelewatan. Seperti saya kata, saya tak mahu sedikit pun kelewatan untuk membantu rakyat kita yang terjejas akibat banjir.
He also said that the task force would also find solutions for solid waste management as a result of the destruction caused by the floods. Dato Sri Ismail Sabri added the government, through Environment and Water Ministry, KASA, had provided a mobile incinerator which could dispose of solid waste in situ without smoke and without polluting the environment. Apart from that, he said the government was also collecting data on the total losses incurred in the floods in Selangor. The Prime Minister also announced that Perusahaan Automobil Kedua Sdn Bhd Perodua would provide a free towing service for Perodua vehicles based on the vehicle's insurance. He said Perodua had agreed to forego the labour charges to repair and service vehicles sent to its service centres and offer a 50% discount on spare parts.
Free tak payah bayar dia punya labour, dia punya charge upah tak payah bayar. Cuma bayar dari segi parts, dari segi alat ganti dan diberikan 50% diskaun. Saya difahamkan Menteri Keuangan akan berunding lagi dengan syarikat-syarikat kereta yang lain seperti Proton dan sebagainya. Dan saya harap syarikat-syarikat lain boleh ikut apa yang dilakukan oleh Perodua, dan kalau nak lebih baik daripada itu pun kita mengalung-alungkan. Ya, mengalung-alungkan. Kalau Perodua bagi 50%, ada yang nak bagi 75 ataupun nak bagi free part pun kita mengalung-alungkan.
Apart from that, Dato Sri Ismail Sabri also announced that Tenaga Nasional Berhad TNB will give a one-off 100% rebate for the December electricity bill to domestic customers affected by floods. He said a total of 72,000 domestic customers would benefit from the power bill rebate. However, this is only for residential properties and does not involve factories. In the meantime, Dato Sri Ismail Sabri also answered questions regarding online application for the 1,000 ringgit Bantuan Wang Ehsan BWI Benevolent Fund allocated by the government.
Cadangan tu mungkin cadangan yang baik kalau boleh mempermudahkan. Saya dah kata, jangan menyulitkan, mesti mempermudahkan. Itu syarat dia. Kalau cadangan ini mempermudahkan dan tak akan timbul isu-isu lagi yang lain, insya-Allah kita boleh pertimbangkan.
He said that any matter regarding government assistance to the people should be simplified and approved immediately without the need to go through any bureaucracy. Meanwhile, police have confirmed that the death toll due to the flood disaster in the country is at 47 people so far, with 5 people still missing. According to Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Akril Sani Abdullah Sani, Selangor was the highest with 25 fatalities, followed by Pahang with 19 deaths and Kelantan with 3 fatalities. In a statement on Sunday, Tan Sri Akril Sani said the fatalities in Selangor involved 17 men and 8 women, and 13 men, 4 women and 2 boys in Pahang, while the fatalities in Kelantan involved 2 men and a girl. Several areas in Kelantan and Terengganu are expected to be flooded from December 30th to December 31st. According to the Drainage and Irrigation Department's DID, the flood prediction was issued following a significant weather forecast warning by the Malaysian Meteorology Department, Met Malaysia, for December 25th until the end of the year. In a statement on Sunday, it said Kelantan is expected to experience risk of flooding between 8 p.m. on December 30th until 8 a.m. on the next day, involving Gua Musang and Kuala Krai and the nearby areas. This is due to the following expected rise in water levels above the danger level in Sungai Galas in Limau Kasturi and Dabong, as well as Sungai Kelantan in Kuala Krai. Meanwhile, the risk projection also involved Dungun and areas around it in Terengganu, as the water levels in Sungai Dungun in Kampung Pasir Raja is also expected to exceed the danger level. As such, DID called on the public to constantly be on the alert for flood warnings issued by the authorities from time to time. Meanwhile, a total of 46 landslide locations were reported in Selangor and Kuala Lumpur to date, with 9 of them categorized as critical. According to the Department of Minerals and Geosciences, or JMG, 9 landslide incidents occurred in 2 locations, namely Kampung Palimbayan in Sungai Penchala and Taman Duta in Sri Duta. In the Northeast Monsoon Landslide Incident Report issued by JMG on Sunday, the relevant local authorities have taken action at 36 locations, including all 9 critical areas, and the department has made assessments and is conducting continuous monitoring at the affected sites. It said mitigation measures taken include covering the collapsed areas and tensioning cracks with tarpaulin sheets or canvas and visual monitoring against any soil movement. And homeowners of units located on the ground floor of affected buildings have been asked to vacate their residences. The mitigation steps have been taken in stages at 10 other landslide sites according to priority, among them involving areas in Taman Keramat and Jalan Kiaping. Other areas affected in Selangor are Taman Nusa Subang, Teratai Apartment, Selayang, Jalan Bunga Anggerik, Taman Melawati, Jalan Melati Tujuh, Taman Sri Melati, Kampung Sepakat, Batu 16 Rawang, Jalan Saidina Hamzah, Kampung Bukit Sungai Putih, Ampang, and Jalan Haji Abdul Latif, Kampung Bukit Kapar. Also affected are Zoo View Park, Riverdale Park Apartment, Taman Melur, Ampang, Kampung Sungai Kelambu, Banting, Jalan Wangsa 1, Ulu Klang, Jalan Selayang, Rawang, Jalan Banglo, Batu Arang, all in Selangor. The Education Ministry will examine the need for any school to postpone the third term 2021 to 2022 opening based on how badly the schools are affected by the floods. Senior Education Minister Dr. Radzi Jidin said at the moment the MOE is evaluating the damage of schools' infrastructure, including computers, furniture and textbooks.
Kita sedang usahakan untuk memastikan sebaiknya kita dapat selesaikan dalam tempoh sebelum pembukaan sekolah. Namun begitu sekiranya ada kes-kes tertentu yang menunjukkan bahawa sekolah itu belum bersedia, maka kita akan ambil tindakan sewajarnya. Jadi kita, sebab banjir baru surut, jadi kita tengah akses membuat assessment kepada kerosakan yang berlaku sebelum kita boleh membuat sebarang tindakan lanjut.
Dr. Razi said this to reporters after officiating a community program in Putrajaya on Sunday. He also appealed to schools to work together with the State Education Department and the District Education Department by listing out the needs of the schools like furniture and textbooks to facilitate aid distribution. Elaborating further, he also added that the Education Ministry would still implement a rotation system for student attendance when the school opens, and the details would be announced soon.
2022. Bold measures, tough reforms. What areas can be further improved for Malaysia's economic recovery in the coming year? What are the key challenges for the nation's growth? Will Malaysia's economic recovery gain momentum in 2022? Malaysia's economic outlook with the World Bank on Money Matters this Saturday at 5 p.m. only on TV3.
Coming up on Nightline, MySejahtera introduces Bluetooth contact tracing feature. This and more when we return. Nightline. My Sejahtera is now equipped with a new feature, My SG Trace, to allow tracing of close contacts among users of the feature. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin, through a posting on Twitter, said My SG Trace, which uses the Bluetooth technology, will provide live information on interactions with other users who also activate the new feature. Khairi said for individuals who test positive for COVID-19, they can send the interaction data to the Health Ministry for contact tracing process to be made, whilst the interaction data will be anonymized. He said the public is encouraged to use the new feature when indoors at public places and that the checkout feature in My Sejahtera is no longer applicable. Elaborating further, the Health Minister added that the new feature had also been sent simultaneously to Google, Apple and Huawei for updating. Malaysia is committed to its target of becoming a carbon-neutral nation by as early as 2050. The target set by the Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, will push for the use of electric vehicles within cities and townships to achieve carbon-neutral status. Alif Yunus has the report.
For years, Malaysia's lack of initiative in providing exemptions on electric vehicles, EV taxes, has made the emerging economy of 32 million people lag behind its regional peers like Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia and even Vietnam. With the duty exemptions for electric vehicles set to take hold next year, Malaysia is currently on the change toward a greener mode of transportation. Malaysia Automotive Robotics and IoT Institute or MARI Chief Executive Officer Datuk Madani Sahari said the incentive and policies that the country has planned currently can pave the way for Malaysians to purchase and make EV as part of their mode of transportation.
The whole idea now is to enhance the awareness on EV by getting Malaysians to experience, what is actually an EV, so get it easy for Malaysians to buy, lease or rent an EV, for them to gain that experience.
Datuk Madani added that in the near future, there will be an ample amount of charging stations along the roads and homes in Malaysia, and the government is currently trying to overcome the challenges with the power to generate the charging stations.
So now discussions are ongoing. The problem now is the power that goes into the parking lots in all of our R&R is not enough. So there's a need to install a substation, before the installation of the charging stations could be realised.
For Nano Malaysia, an agency under the Science, Technology and Innovation Ministry, the main focus on the EV industry in Malaysia currently will be on the high-value component, where the country can control the EV industry from end to end.
The way I see it, from policy perspective ecosystem, we're looking at developing, validating and deploying key components that is crucial for the EV industry. We may not have a finished EV car, which we can call a Malaysian EV car, but if we can champion the core components such as batteries, the electronics, and some of the hydrogen-related, storage systems such as fuel cell, we may have a winner. Because this component constitutes about 60 to 70% of the cost of EVs.
Rizal also said that the EV industry will benefit Malaysians by providing job opportunities and opening for Malaysian workers to reskilling and upskilling.
Coming to the end of 2021, changes to zero emission are happening around the world. Countries are committing to become carbon neutral, and industries are innovating at a rapid pace to bring about a green revolution where electric vehicles will be part of the future. Alif Yunus, TV3.
A 4-year-old child was killed while 3 others were injured in an accident after the car they were travelling in skidded before crashing into a river. The incident happened at Jalan Sungai Korok, Jitra around 11:29 a.m. The vehicle, a Perodua Myvi carrying 4 people, was on its way from Pekan Jitra to Air Hitam when the driver is believed to have lost control of the vehicle before it skidded and went into the water. All victims who were in the car were removed by the driver before being sent to Jitra Hospital for treatment. However, 4-year-old Haras Safi was confirmed dead shortly after he started to receive treatment. The victim's body was sent to Sultanah Bahia Hospital for post-mortem. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. After the break, travel misery continues as more flights cancelled. Stay tuned. For staying with us. More than 1,500 flights across the globe were scrapped on Sunday, bringing more misery for travellers planning to fly over the festive period. According to Flight Aware data tracking website, as many as 5,900 flights have now been cancelled on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and the day after. Chinese and US airlines appear to be the hardest hit, and further disruption is expected on Monday. Companies have blamed staff shortages on the fast-spreading Omicron variant. They say flight cancellations are the result of airline crews testing positive or being forced to self-isolate. Despite early findings that Omicron is milder than other variants, scientists are concerned by the sheer number of infections being recorded. Meanwhile, new COVID restrictions have come into force in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland as the nations try to halt the surge in infections. All 3 nations have introduced curbs on the hospitality and leisure industry, resumed social distancing rules, and put limits on the size of gatherings. Each of these 3 nations has chosen different rules, but they all feature limits on the size of gatherings, requirements for social distancing, and tighter rules for pubs, restaurants, and leisure venues. Boris Johnson has not announced any further restrictions in England, but the Prime Minister said he would not hesitate to act if necessary. Daily coronavirus figures are not being reported over Christmas Day and Boxing Day, but Friday saw a new high of 122,186 UK cases. sports football, the 2020 AFF Suzuki Cup. Thailand knocked out defending champions Vietnam to reach the final, despite a goalless draw in the second leg of their semi-final tie on Sunday. Starting the game with a 2-goal deficit, Ho Tan Thai went closest to pulling one back for the Vietnamese 3 minutes before the interval, when he headed Nguyen Quang Hai's in-swinger corner narrowly wide. Vietnam then had another chance in the second half through Nguyen Kong Quang, but his close-range effort was saved by Thailand's goalkeeper. The scoreline remained until the full-time whistle, and with the result, the War Elephants will now face Indonesia in the 2-leg final on December 29th and January 1st. Thailand have won a record 5 AFF championships, while Indonesia have lost all 5 times it has reached the final. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look at the history of Russian skateboarding, told in St. Petersburg. The Museum of Skateboarding opened in November and contains Soviet boards from the 1980s and all manner of skate merchandise. Its founder is Pavel Trifonov, who took up the sport in 1987, aged 13. Since then, he's been involved in Russia's first skateboarding brand Matrix, constructed skate parks, and now has opened this shrine to his passion. With that, I'm Raymond Go. Thank you for watching, and wherever you are, stay safe.